Now, with just over 6 months to go until the start of the new season, the TOCA Junior Championship is hotting up behind the scenes. Lots of testing going on, and who better to put the car through its paces on its second major outing than Tom Ingram. Tom, good to catch up with you in Pembrey at the moment where the sun is shining.
It's glorious, I must say. Of all the days I've done at Pembrey this year, this has definitely been the best one.
And how many days have you done at Pembrey this year? Let's complete the cycle.
This is my first.
This is the first. Excellent. Listen, you've been out in the car, a little bit different to your normal charger in the British Touring Car Championship. But what have you made of this Chevron B1417?
It's been really interesting to jump into it actually at this stage, because we're at the sort of the initial stage of car performance, really. So it's a very it's a very nice place to come in when the car's at the phase where we can point it left, right, up, down, forward or back in terms of what we want the car to feel like and do and respond. So it feels really good. I mean, you can hear him tinkering away and making changes in the background as to what we're going to do for this afternoon's running. But as a base, it feels fairly strong, It feels very, very sort of confidence-inspiring, which I think for guys and girls who are going to be driving these cars is exactly what we want. So it's a nice place to be at this stage to sort of steer the development as we see fit, which is really good.
Have you been given a free rein by the team to push the car as hard as you can? I mean, is that the point of the test, to see where there might be areas that they need to tighten up on?
Not really, no. I think that at this stage of where everything is, it's quite sort of evaluative of what is going in the correct direction, what needs changing before it goes in the wrong direction. So really, there's bits and pieces here that will improve over time. There's bits that you can say, oh, a very easy fix to sort that, or a bit of a change to improve it that way. But I think as a base car, it feels fairly strong. And I think it's a case of just tweaking and making some changes to steer it. But there's obviously going to be some fixed regulation parts that are going to be left alone. But there's obviously a lot of setup work and everything from spring rates to roll bars to and everything in between that we can sort of start to work out which way around we need to go with them, really.
Now, you're used to having lots of ability to tweak your touring car and get it exactly how you want it. This Chevron has front and rear separate subframes, which is going to allow a certain amount of tweaking to suit each of the drivers, isn't it?
Exactly that, and I think that's the nice place to be with it, is that we can sort of restrict some parts being as open as they need to be, or open some other parts up. So I think at this stage it really is a case of how do you want the car to feel? Do you want it to be really neutral? Do you want it to be quite a lively car? Do you want a soft car, a stiff car? So we can make the changes and tweaks as we see fit, and kind of steer it in a direction of what we want to get from the car. At the minute, it feels incredibly neutral, really nice, easy car to drive, can get it to the limit nice and easily, quite forgiving. And I think that's a nice place to be. But the next sort of few months will steer it in a direction of exactly where you want it to be to get to the limit, and then when it is at the limit, how it feels about as well. So there's still lots to do, but as I say, as a starting point, I think it's in a strong place.
The clue is in the title, TOCA Juniors. It's obviously a feeder series for those people who might aspire to do what you've done in the British Touring Car Championship. Tom, how much of a feel has this car got to being that sort of that junior full touring car?
Well, the thing is, I think it's quite important to make sure that it doesn't feel exactly like a BTCC car. However, there's a lot of bits in this. It's a rear-wheel drive car. It's in a manual gearbox. It's on a cut tyre. So there's a few bits and pieces that will never make it feel quite the same as a BTCC car. But then there's also a lot of bits and pieces that it's really interesting and really good to start to give some foundations of what it needs to be able to drive a BTCC car, or be able to drive a GT car or a single-seater or whatever it may be. But give the guys who are going to be driving these cars the foundation to learn from, because if they can jump into these and be quick and understand what they need to do to be quick in the car, does it need this? Does it need that? Do I need to drive the car in a slightly different way? Then that's the important thing. There's obviously a lot of components that will look very similar, look a little bit like a mini BTCC car, but then there'll be other bits and pieces as well that are very different. So I think the important thing is to note that it's going to be a sort of a fueling championship for aspiring racing drivers, not least with getting into BTCC, but forging a professional career.
So, rear-wheel drive and a manual gearbox. How have you found that? You're smiling.
Good as gold, honestly. No, it feels fantastic, and I think it's a good way of teaching, because that's the fundamentals. Is that you don't want an easy car. Easy cars don't teach you a lot. You need to struggle. You need to sort of understand exactly how to get the best out of them. And that's the way you learn. You learn by having to think and having to be adapt to how the car feels and what it does. And I think if you can be at a point where this is going to teach people exactly how you need to drive a racing car, with feeling the roll that's in the car, with having to use heel and toe techniques. And there'll be some people who go, yeah, but everything's on a paddle shift now. It's not the point. The whole point of this is to teach. And the whole point of this is to learn as well. So if you can be at a point where you can do both, why would you not?
There'll be young people coming into the championship, Tom, who may be coming from karting. Some may have done Ginettas previously, minis, or whatever it might be. Is this the sort of car and the sort of championship which is going to quickly enable us to identify some of those people who are going to do what you've done and other people in the Touring Car Championship in GTs? I mean, is it going to be an identifier for their futures?
I can't say it can't not be. There's obviously going to be an important factor in this about being within the TOCA package and seeing the talent come through. That's obviously an incredibly important part of this, is to make sure that there are drivers going off to form a professional career. So I think you're absolutely right. I think it'll be a good identifier as to who is going to be quick. But I think that the important thing is that if we can sort of find those guys and girls early, in what is going to be a car that's really going to teach these kids how to drive, that's then how you're going to progress further, because you're going to find them early, and you can harness the sort of talent that they come from on a big stage. We're going to see this coming through from potentially 14 years old, maybe even earlier when they start testing, to learn how these work.
We could end up with somebody who's starting this next year in TOCA Juniors lining up alongside you on the grid in the BTCC.
You're going to make me feel old now. That's going to be the problem. That would be, if that would be the case, that'd be a fantastic story, wouldn't it? That'd be really good.
So you've got some more testing to do this afternoon?
So yeah, back out on circuit in the next sort of 20 minutes or so. So yeah, a few more bits and pieces that are still to do. Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting time for the championship, and an exciting time to see the progression of the car.
How many laps have you done in the car this morning?
I've probably done 20 laps that we've done so far, a mix of some other bits of filming and other stuff like that. So as well as the sort of the initial shakedown test and the other bits of testing that have been going on already, there's been a lot of running done to the car, and there's been a lot of improvements made so far that will only continue as time goes by. So it's an exciting time to be part of it.
Absolutely. Tom, really good to catch up with you. Enjoy your afternoon of testing.